Welcome back to Show and Tell. Once again, I am excited to say I have a guest with me. I am actually knitting, but I have very little output right now because what I'm doing is complicated. So please join me in welcoming Suzanne Flink. I'm going to ask her to tell us where she's from. And my usual question, if we're a tourist in your town, what is someplace that we won't find in a guidebook that we might want to see? She told me ahead of this that she wants to show her house, but unless all of us are welcome there, I said, no, 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 we can't do that. But we will get to see her house and her fabulous knitting. So, Suzanne, take it away.
Hello, hi. Thanks so much for having me. This is really exciting. Yes, I live in Malmö in the south of Sweden, very close to Copenhagen. It's just over the bridge. We have a bridge between Denmark and Sweden. So you can go to Copenhagen in, what is it, 30 minutes or something by train. And Malmö, it's the third city of Sweden after Stockholm and Gothenburg. So it's average size, I'd say. And we have a lot of people from all over the world living here, which is lovely. So there are, of course, restaurants from all kinds of food and everything. And something that's not in the guidebooks, that's quite difficult because the guidebooks are so good nowadays. But I was thinking about a vintage fair that we arrange, some friends of mine and me, once a year in a small kind of village quite close to Malmö. It's almost like a suburb. It's called Luma, and it's by the coast, a bit north of Malmö. And it's an old Folkets hus. Well, that's something very Swedish. It's hard to explain. So a place for gathering people, built in the 20s, 1920s, 30s, something. So we have a big vintage fair there. This year will be the third, and it's growing. It's getting bigger and bigger. So we have people from all over Sweden coming as sellers and also as customers. And it's vintage clothing from all over the 20th century. So from 1900 to 1999.
Oh, interesting. And you're one of the organizers?
Yes, yes, that's right.
What time of year does it take place?
In May, it will be the 3rd of May this year. Yeah.
I will have your contact information in the show notes. So if people want to attend or want to be vendors, they'll be able to
Yes.
get in touch with you. Oh,
But we
that,
are fully booked. We are already fully booked for this
no,
year.
but for
But
attendees,
yes, absolutely.
oh, oh, how many
Uh,
people do you allow?
for not for attendance, for sellers, we're fully booked, but not for if people just want to come.
Ah,
Uh,
that's what
that's okay.
I thought.
Yeah, misunderstood. But the market is growing, so next year we will hopefully have even bigger possibilities to receive more sellers.
Oh, wow.
There are two houses, and we just booked one of the houses, which was a mistake because we wouldn't need both of them. But we didn't know that at that point.
Well, that's a good problem to have.
Yes.
You're sold out.
Yeah.
So I know because of your Instagram account that has a little information about you that you have something to do with opera.
That's right.
I'm not sure what, but I hope that you'll share that with us.
Yes. I'm a singer. I don't want to call me an opera singer because I sing so much other things as well, apart from opera. But I am employed at the Malmö Opera House, has been for many, many years. And yes, I'm a member of the chorus of the Opera House. And yeah, in
Are
different
you
productions.
are you a soprano, mezzo
Yes,
soprano, soprano?
right. Yeah.
And what are some of the operas that you've performed in?
Well, all the known ones, I would say. in
You don't
24 years.
specialize in Wagner or Verdi.
No,
You do
we do. I
Puccini.
mean, it's quite small opera house. We do everything, and also musicals and operettas as at
Oh,
occasions. Yeah.
fun. Are
So
any
right
of
now,
them, are any of the operettas those Gilbert and Sullivan that are in English?
no, sadly, I love them, but it's very rare in Sweden. If we do operettas, it will be more like Austrian things like Johann Strauss and
Mm.
things like that. I would love to do a Gilbert and Sullivan operetta.
And what are they called? Songspiels?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's very interesting. Since you're paid to sing, I won't ask you to sing for us. But can people find you singing on the internet? Is there a website where you have a sample
Yes, I have a website, and you can always also find me at YouTube if you search
singing?
on my name. Yes,
Ah,
yes.
okay. All right. So
I
maybe
have a because I have a special singer from the 1940s, 1930s, 40s that I love very much. A Swedish singer called Ulla Billquist. She was like the Swedish Vera Lynn, you could say. So she was extremely popular during the war years, and her music is really close to my heart, and I love it very much. So I try to research on her and her music, and also make performances with her songs. Uh,
so you're pretty steeped into this vintage,
yes,
mostly 1940s or
30s and 40s.
30s
Yeah.
and 40s. Okay, good. That's like my sweet spot too. I love it.
Yes.
I love it. Okay, so we're really here to talk about knitting. I know we
Yes.
wait a little, but I love what you're wearing. I can't believe that you may have knit that because it looks very fine. You did?
Yes. Oh, yes. It's really a dress. I mean, it takes so much time. Yes.
But it looks like very fine gauge.
Yeah, it is.
How
Yeah.
many
I think we
stitches?
have different numbers on our knitters, American and European. I
The
think it's
needles,
number,
yeah. So
yeah, the needle is
how many millimeters?
number 3.
3 millimeter. Okay, so it's
Yeah.
not so small. I mean, I
No,
knit with 2.25
no,
sometimes,
no, no,
but three
no.
millimeter. Okay, I think that's a, I think there's no equivalent in the US. I think it would be a 2.5, and 2.5 isn't commonly sold. So, smaller than a size 3 US, I believe that is, which, for most people, that's small.
Yeah. And it took its time. I mean, it really took some time to make it the skirt. I mean, the upper part was more like knitting any sweater, but then when you got down on the skirt and nothing happened, and you just
Knitting
go
and
on
knitting
and
and
on and
knitting.
on.
And the skirt is knit in the round, or it's also knit in
Yes,
pieces in the
in the
round.
round. Yeah.
Is it possible for you to stand up so we can see more of it?
Yes,
The
that's fine.
color is fabulous. Oh, look at this. Wow. Sensational. Ooh, ooh la la.
Yes. And the
And the
sleeves,
sleeves. Oh, wow. I know that had to be a lot of work. How many months do you think?
I have no idea. I don't remember.
More than
Uh,
4?
something like that. Because I don't remember when I started, and then I had some interruptions, and I made something else. So I don't know. But if you have really good long TV series with a lot of
Episodes.
yes, then you will get through it because when you just knit around and nothing happens, you don't have to even look at it. Not that much.
I have yet to do that. I'm not so happy with myself from the waist down. I'm not so happy with any part, but particularly from the waist down. I don't know that I would want something knit clinging to me, but maybe someday. I guess if you have the right underpinnings, even
Yes,
somebody plump could look good in a knitted skirt. Maybe. I mean, I've seen some patterns that have like vertical stripes. I think that for
mm,
me it might be more slenderizing, but what you've done looks perfect on you. Good for you.
thank
Wow.
you so much. It was really worth all the hard work. So I'm very, very happy with it.
It always is.
Yeah.
I think it always is. I mean, I tell people I've ripped out an entire sweater because I think when I reknit it, all that extra effort will have been worth it.
Yes.
So, it's going to be beautiful, my next creation, but the headaches, the nightmares, yeah,
Yeah.
sleepless nights, just the
Yeah. But you feel so
pain.
much better when you do it and you're actually happy with it because if there are mistakes, you will see them. Every time you put it on, you will just see the mistakes.
Well, the biggest mistake is if you can't get it on.
Yes.
It doesn't fit. And that was my situation. So I absolutely had to rework.
Yeah.
Anyway, I know you have other sweaters that you want to show us. So
Yes.
let's go.
Let's see, where shall I begin? Something Christmassy. I mean, it's a long time until next Christmas, but
Hmm.
this is a sweater that well, it took me 2 years because I stopped and then I had to wait to the next Christmas. So it's a small sweater, and I have the pattern I found on Pinterest, I think. And then I have like a ground pattern that I use that I made myself for that I use for that I know fits me. And I use often the same yarn, so I know how it will turn out.
Oh,
I'm
small.
a bit of a coward.
What yarn is that you use?
So this is a merino
No, but
yarn.
there's a specific brand that you always use?
Yes, it's drops baby merino,
Okay.
and so it's very soft and nice and easy to wear. And yes, I had it on me for almost all of Christmas, all the Christmas days, and so I really liked it very much.
It's interesting. The effect that it gives is that those flowers or I'm not sure if they're stars,
Snowflakes.
eight
Yeah,
snowflakes,
yeah.
they give the illusion of being too like more than just white on red, but it almost looks like white, pink, and red. It looks like there's,
Mhm.
more going on there than just,
Okay.
is it white or is it pink?
It's white.
White. Yeah, so
Yeah,
it gives the illusion of being like more than just white on red. It's
yeah,
interesting. I guess because of how the little stitches are in the center of the snowflake.
yeah, probably. And it's waist long. I always make my cardigans and sweaters down to the waist because I want that, that 1940s
Hmm.
line where you can see the waist. So it's quite short in comparison.
Well, I think
Yes,
it's a really good idea to find a motif that you like and apply it to a sweater body that you like the fit of.
yeah.
That's clever.
And you can vary it how much, so very much. So this other one, it's actually the same, but in other colors.
So it's a completely different
Yeah.
wow.
And with multicolors in
Mm.
another. Yeah. I'm trying to learn to work with more than two colors. I'm not so good at it, but I'm getting there. I'm trying to be better and make it even and nice, but it's
Looks
not.
good. Looks good.
Yeah. Well, when you block it, you can do a lot
Right.
at that
Right.
point. So yes, and with this one, I also have, let's see, where is it? A cardigan. I actually made the cardigan first.
Oh, so
So
twin set.
yes,
Fabulous. Wow.
but it's almost a little too warm to wear together. So it's
I
just when
think a
it's
lot of
really,
times, I think often twin sets have a short sleeve sweater underneath or even
yes,
sleeveless sweater, but putting the whole sleeve into the other sleeve, yeah, that
yeah,
might be too
it's
hot.
quite warm.
Yeah.
So I have ended up using them apart, but it's okay. I mean, when we have really cold days here, so once in a while I wear them together.
You could always just drape it over your
Yeah,
shoulders
yes,
and still get the look of having the set.
yes. And I love these colors, these kind of earthy
Hmm.
color scale. Like it very much. Yes. So that was that. I am really into berets. That is something
Oh,
I like very much.
adorable. Is there a name for this pattern if people want to find this?
I think I found it on Drops. They have a lot of free patterns, and these berets I think comes from Drops. So you would find it quite easily, I think, on their website. And with that, you can have this Miss Marple
Oh,
scarf.
the famous Miss Marple scarf. I have yet to
Yes,
get one.
I have in many colors. So yes, and it's quite cold here from time to time. So it's not like the north of Sweden, but you would need something nice around your neck. I made my first slipover not long ago. And what a great garment that is.
So you're really into stranded knitting.
Yes.
Well, I
And
think
this,
the more you do it, the better you get, the more you learn to leave plenty of yarn
yes,
as you span those stitches so that it doesn't pucker up.
yeah, exactly. And the great thing about this is also all the leftover yarn you can use.
Hmm.
I mean, it doesn't take that much. So I think you can find these colors in the other ones too. So I will definitely make more things like this. And it's very nice to wear. And it's also good with the cardigan because it's not so, won't be that warm. You
Right.
have a blouse under it. So, and it's different. It's merino yarn and alpaca in this, but it works together.
Oh, so it's nice and soft.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I made this pattern myself as well. So, very happy with it.
Nice
And,
job.
and I think that was one of my interruptions of the dress to just make something that went quite fast.
So
Uh,
when you're at the opera house, is there downtime, like at rehearsals or something, where you're able to sit there and knit?
yes. Yeah. I mean, in some operas, we have long breaks when we aren't on stage, and you can't do anything at all. You just have to wait and sit around in your dressing room and chat to your colleagues. And I mean, it's a perfect time for knitting.
Are other people knitting besides you?
Yes, yeah.
Oh,
It's from the beginning it was just me, but now people are my younger colleagues are coming on. So it's really a lot of knitting going on now.
oh,
So nice.
great.
Yes,
So
and
it sounds like you were the inspiration. They saw you and they were like, hmm. Did you
well,
have to teach anybody to knit?
no, I haven't. They have learned, or they have taught themselves and used the YouTube, I think. And they are quite young, so these are it's girls in their 30s. So it's really nice. It's a big thing knitting now. It's really popular. So
This
um,
is wonderful to hear.
yeah, it is. So but we talk a lot about it, and when someone comes with something new on, everyone, oh my God, it's just so nice. Oh, good work.
Are there any
So
men knitting in the
no,
opera?
sorry,
Not
no,
yet.
no, not yet. I hope they will come there because I mean this kind of thing on a guy.
Right.
I mean it's so nice. So I really hope that they will
Yeah,
start.
but they have to go through the various stages
Yes,
until they can do that.
yeah, but they could
So
start with a scarf or something. I mean that's quite easy.
they could actually start with a very solid color vest,
Yes, yes,
front and back,
yeah,
boom, and then
yeah,
all these other knitters around who would help them. Well,
exactly. Yeah, I will try to challenge them. Because we have the same problem. We have long periods when we just are waiting and not doing anything, sitting and chatting.
a lot
So
of in the United States, a lot of movie stars have taken up knitting because
yeah,
they also have those breaks where they're in their trailer waiting for the next
mm,
scene or whatever. So, you can see sometimes there are photographs of them sitting in those big director's chairs knitting.
yes. I mean, it's the same with them. Sometimes you just wait and you don't know for how long. Will I be waiting for 5 minutes or 2 hours? You don't know because things are going on stage and we're not called in. So that's frustrating. So it's the best thing is if you can do something actually.
Fabulous. Yeah.
Yeah.
Optimize your time.
Yes, exactly. Mm.
Oh, such a pretty teacup.
Oh, thank you. It's British.
Beautiful.
Ah. Mm.
Not vintage, but it goes with my Art Deco decor. So,
Yes, but
okay.
Art Deco's nice. This is one of my first cardigans that I made when I started. My mother taught me to knit when I was small, and I it was just a natural thing. She was a seamstress, and she had her own studio at home, and I wasn't really aware that all the things I actually learned just sitting there in her studio, um, sewing, knitting, crochet, embroidery. She did all those things, and I was just around and picked it up. And sometimes I wanted to do something, and she showed me, and I didn't realize until much later that I actually knew a lot of things that people don't, as a general. So it was actually, and I knit a lot in the 80s because we all did those big, fluffy sweaters. And then when I started wearing vintage all time, I mean, every day, I really needed those cardigans because you do, and you don't find knitwork. I mean, real old knit work in vintage shops or things like that. And then there are newly produced vintage knit work that you can buy, but they're so expensive. So I thought to myself, well, I would try to make something by myself. So this is how I started. Um, it's a little thicker yarn. It's called Lima from Drops also with hearts all around like that and on the sleeves. Uh, and I have quite a few in this size and pattern and a lot of different colors.
It's very
So,
cute. Is that ribbon going down behind the buttons that I'm seeing?
no,
Oh, it looked like almost like a grosgrain ribbon, but now that
yeah,
I
no,
see, okay, it's a rib button band. The buttons are very pretty too.
I think they're vintage. I've invented a lot of buttons, a lot of haberdashery from my mother when she passed. So I have a huge amount of buttons, but seldom as many as this because I have like three or four of every kind. Uh, but it's also a thing to use old material uh, for buttons and ribbons and all kinds of things that you need when you knit and you sew. And I have loads.
Oh, how fortunate you are.
Yes, I'm so grateful to her that she was a hoarder. So there is there is a lot of things, and I hopefully I will use most of it one day. I hope so.
Well, keep on knitting
Yeah.
and
Yes.
you will.
Yeah. And then I think, oh, this one, I think many vintage lovers will recognize this
Oh,
pattern.
yes.
Yes.
Another one that I haven't done, popular one that I have not done.
And it's also so good for leftover yarn. And you can have, it's just, in this case, it's just two colors, but you can have three or four or five or whatever. And I have made it, this is wool, and I have made it in cotton yarn as well. So, and this is a sweater that you see in TV series and movies
Right,
because
right.
it's so common and really nice and easy and fun to do. So it's a favorite. What more?
Oh,
Oh
I'm
yes,
so pleased that you brought so many things. It's like a fashion show.
it was hard to choose. This is also a favorite because I saw a cat cardigan on someone, on a friend or something, and I thought I want a cat cardigan. So I made one.
How cute.
There are little paws here on the sleeve,
Oh, so sweet. Such a good idea.
and at the back.
The back of the cat. Cute. Adorable.
But I wasn't that good. Um, I hadn't learned that you should twist the yarns. That so sometimes I I get hooked on a thread and I will tear it out. But you learn and you get better all the time. Yes, and I really love cats. So that's I don't have a cat, but
I was going to ask you if you have cats.
no, no, I'm a little bit allergic, so it probably would be a good idea, not be a good idea. My daughter have two cats, so I try to um, use them for my needs. Yes, it's a little sweater in yes with a color, and on the back side I have these little pearl buttons. Oh, and this is also uh, inspired by an old pattern that I've seen in some, because I have a lot of old patterns from the 1940s, Swedish, most of them. I mean, it was a big thing here too, of course. People knitted most of their, I mean, socks and stockings and underwear, swimming suits, everything. But I just use the pictures for inspiration, and then I try to make something by my own on my own.
It's so interesting and it varies so much from country to country. I mean, part of the joy for me of doing this podcast is I get to meet interesting people like you who are all over the world. People knit everywhere.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
some countries have more of a history, like, you're in the northern part of the world where it is colder, so there's a real need for knitted garments. But just yesterday, the person I was chatting with is in Hungary, much less popular there. And she was
Huh.
showing me pictures from like an old Hungarian magazine where they just showed images of the sweaters, no instructions.
Oh my God.
Because, I think just like what you're saying, you look at the pictures and you get inspiration and then you do your own thing. And
Yeah.
I sort of think that is what might have been going on there. So that is a really interesting skill to have. It's a great skill to have. When you get
Yes.
to a certain level, you can just look at something and say, "Oh, I like that, but I'm going to tweak this and change that, and I don't want it to be a cardigan. I want it to be a pullover, or I like that motif, but I don't like the puff sleeve that they put on." So good for you. How long have you been knitting? Your whole life since childhood?
Yes, more or less. Yes. But well, I in some certain times of lives you don't find the time. I knitted in the 80s when I was in school
Me
because it was
too. In the 80s,
very,
I
very
wasn't in
popular.
school, but I was after my career in the 80s, I had plenty of time to go sit in the yarn shop and knit with other knitters. That was like my last big knitting decade. And then I paused for a long
Yeah.
time and came back to it.
But it was extremely, very, very popular because I remember in what I think would be what you would call junior high school, when you are between 12 and 15 something.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, people were actually sitting in school knitting. So, yes.
Never here.
I mean, the cool guys too, the cool people did that too.
Mm.
So it was a very big thing at that point. And then, and also when I went to high school and after that, and then, education, and I was occupied with music and singing and, starting to work, all those things. And then so I didn't knit for many years. And then when I was expecting my daughters, my daughter, she was born in 1998. I, of course, made a lot of things, your baby garments, because, and you do that before, and then when you have the baby, you don't have any time anymore. So, but I have,
Exactly. I did the same thing. I knit a few
yeah,
things for my infant, and then I was too busy raising him, and
yeah,
that was all consuming.
it is. So after that, I didn't do anything until, well, I think 10 years ago, about 10 years ago. Then I started and I got totally hooked and, you know, nerdy about it. So since then, I have always something going on.
Are there fabulous yarn shops in Malmo?
No,
No?
I'm sorry. There is, yeah, fabulous. There are two yarn shops, but I mostly buy my yarn online.
You said Copenhagen is just across the bridge. There must
Yeah,
be nice yarn shops there.
yes, there are, but because of this exchange rates and things like that, and it's very, very bad business for us to go to Copenhagen to shop, but it's very good business for the Danish people to come here and shop. So if I go to Copenhagen, which I seldom do, I sadly, it's more like window shopping, and because it's so expensive for us.
Mm.
Um, well, there's a big explanation for that. I won't get into that, but yes, if I could afford it, I would probably buy yarn in Copenhagen. But
You have to do a swap. You have to find somebody who wants what you
yes,
have and
yeah,
try and swap with them. Drops is not, from what I see, popular in the United States. I don't see it in any of the yarn shops. And I've never looked for it online, so I don't know. If I imagine they would ship wherever in the
yes,
world.
probably. I went into when I am out when I'm traveling. I go on road trips every summer in Sweden, just going around finding nice places, nice little inns and museums and everything historical and things that I'm interested in. I always, when I come to a new town, I always find the yarn shop because it's always a nice person in there that would tell you about everything about the town, and you have always so much to talk about when you're into knitting. So that's a tip. If you want to connect with people in a new place, find the yarn shop if there is one. And there was a lady, an old lady, that was so nice. This was in a small town called Mariestad, up on the west coast of Sweden. And well, not a coast, but oh, anyway. And she was so nice, and she had a lot of yarn, and we were talking about it, and she said, you should use drops because I have knitted in every yarn there is available, and they stay nice. I mean, it's a good quality, and even if you have washed the garment and you have used it a lot, it's still in a nice shape. So, and to my experience so far, I agree with her.
You're
But
not
we,
sponsoring this podcast, unfortunately.
yes.
Well, that's good to know. And I hope there are people watching this who now will try it and report back. I think
Yeah.
a lot of other people are using it. I have to procure some so I could see what this is about, this experience.
We have Swedish brands. I mean, Drops isn't Sweden, it's Swedish. I don't really know what origin it is, but we have a Swedish brand called Järbo that's very popular, but it's much more expensive, and it's, well, sometimes it's good and sometimes not. So, I mean, it's when you buy something for a whole sweater or a lot of a yarn at once, you want it to be good. You want to be able to rely on it. So,
You bet.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you put so much work into it, so you want something that will last, that you can wear for many years, of course.
I can't say that I've had really any negative experiences with any of the yarns I've used.
That's good.
I hope I never do. But maybe people will put in the comments if they've had a bad experience with the yarn so that the rest of us will know maybe
Yeah.
not to buy that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's true. Knitters are very helpful. Um, I don't know how it is in your field, but the field that I was in when I had a career, a little more cutthroat, a little competitive. And, if you knew something, you didn't necessarily want to share it with somebody who was going to use it and take it in a different direction
Mm.
and capitalize off of your idea. People were a little more like private about, but I don't find that in knitting. People who can do brioche are happy to teach other people to do brioche. It's not like trade secret. You're going to steal my technique and make something more beautiful than I can make. My experience has been like knitters are really nice.
Yes,
And
I
it sounds
agree.
like it's your experience too and helpful.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a
I
lot
would
of
be,
sharing. It's a
yes.
very sharing community.
Yeah. And I would say in when it's in the opera business, I would be more cautious and watch myself for, competition and things like that. No, I've always done my own thing, so I'm not really in that opera career thing. But I agree. In that case, I will be a little more cautious and careful. But when it comes to knitting, no, I have never seen anything like that. People are just generous and very, very nice, and
Patient.
yes, and if you have something, you wear something, people will be, oh, that's so nice and very generous. And
I've never asked anyone like, what's the name of your pattern so that I can get that pattern too, and had them say, oh, sorry, this is mine exclusively. I don't want anybody else to have one like mine. Maybe some people are a little reluctant, but I've never had anybody say, I can't tell you. People will share that information because if you and I knit the same thing, they're going to be totally different.
yes, yes, of course. Well, when people ask me about like my dress, I would have to say, I'm sorry, there is no pattern. It's in here. So, but that's another thing. So no, I have never seen any kind of watching it and keeping it to yourself. No, never.
If I've done something really complicated and people are like, "Ooh, that looks really good. I'd like to do that." I'm like, "Go ahead if you think you can." Like, if it's
Yes.
really hard, it's not going to be something that everybody else can do anyway.
No, no, that's true. You're wearing something nice. I can't see. It looks really nice. Is it a cardigan?
It's a cardigan
Yes. Oh,
and it's lace all
oh,
over.
I love it. Oh, it's beautiful.
Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah, cardigan is really the ultimate garment, I think. I love cardigans.
It also has an
Oh,
interesting
yes,
sleeve.
like
Yeah.
a trunk sleeve.
But this also is a sweater that the pattern was not at all well written. And I had
Okay.
to go back. First of all, I needed more yarn than what it seemed like I was going to need from the pattern.
Yeah.
So that was already a problem, getting the same dye lot. But I did have to rip it out a few times, and I'm not showing you the part that doesn't fit so well. I also had trouble with the button band that it wasn't lying flat at the bottom, and I like pulled when I was blocking it, and I ripped the stitches, and I had to redo the whole button. Sometimes it's like not worth the extra effort. This was kind
No,
of one of those.
but
And
it looks very nice.
well, thank you. I'm glad. I don't wear it out of the house anymore because
Okay.
I don't like the silhouette.
Okay.
But on screen, just seeing this part.
Yeah, looks very nice. And I
Thanks.
like the color too. Yes.
I hate the color. Maybe like this in this lighting, maybe it looks okay, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not really like a beige, brown, earthy kind of
Okay, now
person. Like
it's my
red.
favorite color. Yeah. Yes.
Let me see if I can pull one of these out without destroying this whole thing. Oh, come on. Oh, they're all bundled together, but
Gorgeous.
I don't know if you can see, but
Oh, it's
I
gorgeous.
think I'm very pale. This brightens everything up. I think
Yeah.
red, when I wear red, strangers on the street, uh-oh, I'm caught on my necklace. Strangers on the street will say, wow, like,
Yeah.
great sweater.
Yeah.
I
It's
knit
beautiful.
one red sweater and you can see I have a sweater's quantity. There's another one in the future, not yet. And then we want to see the house or whatever you want to show us of the house.
Don't know if I can show you my house right now. Maybe it's better if I send you pictures, but I
Okay.
can tell you about it.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. The house.
yes. My flat is the house was built. I live in the center of Malmö, and the house was built in 1944. So when I moved in here 5 years ago, my plan was to bring it back to the 1940s because it was, of course, modern. So I started to, I had quite a lot of old furniture already, but some new, it's a mixture. It's always that in a home. Some IKEA and, the whole shebang. So I started to get rid of my modern furniture and find only old ones. And I found original wallpaper from the 1940s, made of paper and not plastic as they are nowadays. Eventually, I found a painter that would work with them because they were so fragile. So I have 2 rooms with these old wallpapers, and then the kitchen. That was the big problem because the kitchen was quite new, like 10, 15 years old, but it was in a very, very bad shape because it was no bad quality. So I found a carpenter who built me from scratch a new kitchen in 1940s style.
Oh,
Yes.
please send me picture because I have to
Yes.
redo my kitchen.
Okay, yeah. And this was such a nice guy. I had found pictures from another flat in the house with the original kitchen, so he could redo it just like it once had looked here. And yeah, it's just I love it. It was so much hard work because I mean, he did the carpeting, but it was so much more to do with floors and walls and yeah, everything.
What
So
about
it
the
was,
appliances, like the refrigerator, the stove?
yes.
Did you find
Uh,
vintage ones or you used modern ones?
the dishwasher is hidden behind a wooden door, so you won't see it, or like a hatch that you pull out. Uh, yes, the refrigerator is modern, and you can see that. I haven't tried to do anything to hide it. I mean, refrigerators in the 1940s, they were like this big. But now we have,
That's all I need because
yes.
I don't really cook so much anymore.
Okay, yeah. Um, and the stove is I have now a gas stove. That's not a common thing in Sweden. Most people have electric stoves, and but we still have the gas pipes in the house. So I asked, a guy from gas company, can I connect to the gas here? Yes, no problem. So I bought a stove that is, it looks kind of vintage, not really, but it's okay. But it melts in together. So I mean, it's not a museum. It's a functioning kitchen.
I can't wait to see picture of it.
Non più tra i farfalloni amoroso, notte e giorno di torno girano, delle belle turbando al riposo, Narcisetto a dolcino d'amor. Delle belle turbando al riposo, Narcisetto a dolcino d'amor. Non più avrai questi bei panacchini, quel cappello leggero galante, quella chioma, quell'aria brillante, quel vermiglio d'onesco color, quel vermiglio d'onesco color. Non più avrai quei pennacchini, quel cappello, quella chioma, quell'aria brillante. Non più
Just in case anybody's looking for a vintage stove, I want to sell the stove that I have, which is 1960s.
Oh,
It's very vintage looking. It's yellow
oh my God, that's beautiful.
enamel. It's not in mint condition. It's been used for 60 years,
Yeah.
but it no longer works. It needs to be overhauled, repaired, and definitely cleaned. But I don't want it to go into landfill, and I am having trouble finding a place that's interested in buying it. I think mainly because it needs work,
Mm.
but it's something that's kind of rare. Like you wouldn't find this color if you need a yellow stove.
No.
It's here.
Yeah.
I just hate the idea of seeing it go into landfill so that I can have a new stove.
No, hopefully you will find someone to take care of it.
I hope. Our
Yeah.
apartment building, which is a 22-story high rise, does not have the wiring for electric ranges. So we all have gas.
Okay. Yeah.
And there was a gas problem out in the street. And in the process of turning off all the valves throughout the whole building, 150 apartments, they busted my stove. They had to move it in and out multiple times to turn it off, turn it on, turn it back on. Um, and they were kept, moving, and it's big. It's not like 24 inches. It's 36
Oh
inches
my God.
wide. It's a
That's,
big hunka-munka thing. And the guy just broke something on the inside so that flames were coming out all over the place.
oh my God.
So I cannot ever use it again, and I don't want to have it repaired because I don't want a yellow stove. I never wanted a yellow stove, but when I moved in 48 years ago, that was there, and I
Yeah.
never replaced it because it was always working until this guy broke it. Well, okay. Anything else you want to tell us about your flat?
Um, well, yeah. So now it's totally decorated like it was. It's like to coming into the 1940s. And I have had three magazines, Swedish magazines, that have made, uh, have written about it, pictures. So I'm saying it's more famous than I, my flat.
Oh.
So it's
So are
wonderful.
these articles on the internet?
I think one of them at least, because that's they have an internet version of their. I can send you the link.
Oh,
Yes,
that would be
of that
great.
magazine.
I'm sure after watching this, people are going to want to see it. I definitely want to see it. Ooh. Well, okay, this is probably a good place to wrap up. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was
What
so
a
nice.
delight. Can you tell I love what I do? It's,
Yes, I can.
it is it's such an honor to meet people like you who are carrying the torch, the nostalgic torch into the future and bringing younger people along. So I hope I represent a lot of viewers when I say thank you for doing that.
Thank you so much. I mean, we have the internet, we can spread, we can connect. That's wonderful. I mean, when I was knitting and when I was like, I don't know, 14, 15, you had four or three people around you, but now you can reach out and get friends all over the world sharing the same interest. That's wonderful.
It is. It
Yeah.
truly is.
Yes.
Well, okay, this was like a great kumbaya. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So nice to see you. And good luck with your stove.
Oh, I need luck for that. Yeah, thank you. All right, ciao.
Amoroso, notte e giorno di torno girando, delle belle turbando al riposo, Narcisetto ad uccino d'amor. Delle belle turbando al riposo, Narcisetto ad uccino d'amor. Fra guerrieri può far bacco,